Good evening, everybody. November the 26th. The Gurus are back. Survivor 49, Episode 10 review. Mike Testa, Xavier Aguirre here with you this evening. Let's just get right into it because tonight was one of the first few episodes where I figured, okay, this is kind of middling at best. A lot of filler.
Yeah.
And then finally, for really the first time this season, we really picked it up and we had a good finish. And I texted you, there has to be something more to this because right now it's really lagging. Mike, what did you think early on in this episode? Because we were going back and forth and we're like, this is a little worrisome.
Oh, no. Early on in the episode, I was like, might be a short podcast episode. There's not much going on. We had Jawan kind of catching a minnow. That made the edit. I don't know why. We had, some rapping going on with three guys on a bench. I was like, man, this is one of those episodes where we're just going to get through these scenes. It's like, okay, not much going on here. We had another Sage scene of just kind of, stuff going on the beach with Jawan. Just a bunch of stuff basically that really did not have any impact on the game. So yeah, for the first 20 to 35 minutes, I was like, man, this is a rough episode. Not a rough episode, just not much going on. And then even the reward. I mean, I had no notes for the reward challenge. I mean, they were eating burgers, and then it was pretty much that's it. Maybe one conversation of importance, but yeah, the first half of the episode, not much. Obviously, we're gonna get to the reward challenge, I'm assuming. So I'll not tease the whole thing, but first half of the episode wasn't really feeling it.
Yeah, let's start from the beginning here. So we immediately come back from Tribal, and it's clear that vibes are off. Christina and Steven feel like they're on the outside. They don't really know what happened, which
Right.
I think comes into play a little bit later, and I'm excited to talk about that. There's a weird dynamic going on with everyone outside of the dominant trio. And we fast forward to the next day, and it's clear that the plan is to get out Steven. Soph pitches it the night before, and then that's kind of the early part of this episode.
Correct.
Is that the trio plus Yellow Sophie, Jawan and Sage are kind of clued in on this, that Steven is the person that they want out, particularly Blue Sophie, and I think to an extent Rizzo as well. I think and Savannah actually made a point that he's a competitor. It seems like everyone really acknowledged that both socially and from a physical standpoint, Steven is a bit of trouble.
Oh, you know what?
Flip,
right, but
yeah.
Real quick, I wanted to make a note of this because I didn't know if it was going to get brought up. Every time somebody wins an immunity necklace, the next episode, they're this physical monster. It happened with Yellow Sophie on the first.
Yes, that's a great point.
Even just won an immunity challenge, and now he's like, oh my gosh, Steven's this unbelievable physical competitor. He's been coming up second in a couple of these challenges. Now he wins one in the where it was both a man and a woman won it. So now he won one. Obviously, Savannah won back to back. Sophie won one, so now it's like, oh, Steven's a challenge threat now. So not only top of he's a good social player, now he's a challenge threat. So it's like, of course, now all eyes are pointing at Steven.
And I guess the reason I didn't bring it up, because I did notice that as well, we watch shows like Big Brother and other seasons of Survivor here, and that is somewhat of a common trait, whether people do it subconsciously or not. I think this time it's a little bit more deliberate, where they're trying to use these comp wins as kind of motive to get people out.
Right.
But it is kind of something we see. It is just an easy way to try to pitch to get someone out. Like, hey, yeah, sure. See, they just won. Because everything in this show is kind of, what have you done for me lately? So that is a good point. But Sage, on the other hand, is telling Jawan that, hey, Christina has an idol, and we could save Steven. We have the ammo to save Steven, and we could get out Savannah. So this is Sage again. This is at least the third time on my count, if not more, that she is pitching early on throughout the course of a Survivor cycle here, before the immunity and then the tribal council. You know how the days operate here.
Yep.
She's pitching at the beginning of one of these days to get Savannah out, which at this point is just kind of comical. It's very clear that Sage does not want Savannah around. She makes the point to Steven, who says the game would be wide open without Savannah here. So everyone seems to think that Savannah is the ringleader of that trio. What do you make of that point?
That's the general consensus. Now, at first, I thought it was just Sage's opinion. I think that she was like the one who was kind of stirring up this pot. But it does seem like that other side of the camp, if you will, does view Savannah as a bigger threat. Obviously, she's won back-to-back immunity challenges. We just touched on the point where it's like, if you win a necklace, I mean, Yellow Sophie was like the biggest threat in the game for like an episode or two, because she had won a couple balancing challenges, or she won one balancing challenge and then came in second place in another one. Savannah now has won back-to-back challenges, and she's perceived as this big threat because she's obviously working with Rizzo, who has this open public idol. So yeah, no, I don't think it was a bad read. I've been saying Savannah is one of the most dangerous players in the game for a while now. So I think that was one of the few things that Sage might have actually gotten right. But obviously Sage just doesn't like her personally. We don't have to beat around the bush here. Sage doesn't like Savannah. I think she also respects her as a game player, maybe, but I think she also wants her out because she doesn't like her. That's my 2 cents. I think there's two things can be true here. And I think that Sage wants her out for a multitude of reasons. One of them is that she doesn't think she's a good person. She thinks she's a mean girl. And on top of that, she thinks that she's a dangerous player in this game, which that part I do agree with her.
I suppose that's what bothers me about Sage as a person here. Everything is personal. And she tries to act like it's all gameplay, but that's not true. The obsession with Shannon was personal. The obsession with Savannah is personal. And it's hindering her game. And that's a theme throughout this episode where she has blinders on. And for a brief second, she had her finger on the pulse. I think it was a lucky position she was in because she was on the bottom of her red tribe, if you will. And then the merge happens and she kind of is absorbed into the other side. So for a second, she was able to play both sides seamlessly. Since that point, which is fairly easy to do, by the way, if you have both sides of information, you can kind of make a decent analysis here.
Yeah.
Now, what we have to deal with is she just simply doesn't understand how to use the little bit of information that the Savannahs, the Rizzos, and Sophies are feeding her to her advantage without the full picture. That is where she is losing in this game. And as I teased, it becomes an issue throughout this episode where Sage in particular, and I think Jawan feeds from it as well, just doesn't really have the acumen to try to make a big move. There was a brief second where it looked like, okay, does she have the cards? Can she control some of this? But that seems so far gone.
Yeah, by the way, we did kind of nail both of them last week as what are they doing? Kind of, we bailed on them at Tribal. It's like, okay, if you wanted to get Alex out, this is the wrong way of doing it. Let's just say that. Or if you wanted to get Rizzo's idol out, there was the only option of going about the wrong way. So we really touched on Jawan and Sage's downfall last episode. I want to even go deeper on Sage's downfall this episode because not the very first scene, but the next morning, essentially, she's talking with Jawan on the beach, and this is what you just touched on. She tells Jawan, and this is what I forgot on last episode. I said Steven told Sage something. I forgot what he said about it, but it was Christina's idol, which was so forgettable that that's why I blanked at it. He told her the information that he saw Christina find the idol in a tree, whatever it is. So Sage had that information. I just forgot about it. Blipped my memory. She, at the beginning of this episode, tells Jawan. So there was some foreshadowing there. Don't you remember when these three people were on a bottoms up alliance? Don't you remember that? That was only a few episodes away. So Steven, Jawan, and Sage, allegedly, that was the remaining 3 whenever they voted out Shannon, they had an alliance. Don't alliances usually tell each other this, their game, like their secret? This is
Mike, here's the problem with it, and I wrote this in my notes and I forgot to bring it up. So you're right. But what happened at last Tribal?
Steven was on the outside of the vote. We touched on that again. Steven was on the outside of the vote. We said, why are they not voting with their alliance member? That's another thing we nailed Jawan and Sage for. It's like, okay, if you're going to flip again back to Rizzo's side, are you just saying, okay, we're going to burn another bridge, which is now the Steven bridge? Because we had an alliance with him. Remember, that's the bottoms up alliance. They completely blindside him now after blindsiding Rizzo and Savannah 2 episodes prior. So I was confused as to how Jawan and Sage were going to do damage control on the Steven Christina side of things. And it seems like they just didn't. I mean, Sage takes what Steven said to her, and completely now there's mistrust in the entire alliance at the bottoms ups because now Jawan is saying, wait a second, me and Steven are boys. Why is he not telling me this information? Oh, I don't know, Jawan. Maybe because you left him out of the vote the last Tribal. I don't know. That could be the reason. I mean, there's entirely possibility that I think that Jawan and Sage went about this so wrong in the prior episodes that they're kind of getting, the fallback of what it is when you burn bridges on both sides of the house. And I'm quoting house because this is what we do. And we see in Big Brother too, where you kind of are playing the middle game and you kind of get burned. And this was I don't know why Sage felt the need to use that information that Steven told her to create more mistrust in an alliance that already had a burned bridge. That didn't make any sense to me. I don't know what her thought process was telling Jawan, I guess that's her number one, but it just creates more distrust with Steven, who you were already leaving out of the vote and it was already on the minority. So it just didn't seem like it made logical sense to me.
Well, here's the bigger issue. Jawan's fishing for the information from Steven, expecting Steven to tell him. Steven has no more obligation to tell Jawan anything after he flipped on him the previous Tribal. And then Jawan is so blatant about this fishing. I don't know how Steven didn't see through this, but I think at that point,
Yeah.
Steven probably should have just admitted to it, because when someone's fishing that hard, it seems like they know the answer. So the worst thing you can do is kind of just not tell them. If you confirm it, at least you build that trust back. But again, Steven shouldn't really need to be in that position. It should be Juwan and Sage trying to get the trust back from
No, but
Steven and Christina, not the
yeah.
other way around.
But by the way, did you catch this too? And I wrote this down in my notes too. So yeah, like you mentioned, they didn't do any damage control. While Juwan is talking to Steven on the beach, I wrote down Juwan. He's seeing if he'll tell him that he knows Christina has the idol.
Yeah, he's fishing for the info so blatantly.
Yeah, he's like, you'll check up on her after the challenge, right? Like, you'll find out if she has it. And I know you guys are in locksteps, so he's like trying to fish for it, like you said. And Juwan at the end says, I'm going to keep you here a lot longer, as if he's running the camp. So as if Juwan wasn't already, this untrustworthy guy. He's also saying things like, yeah, you were on the wrong side of the vote. Don't worry, we'll keep you here a couple more votes. We'll keep you here. That's what he said verbatim. I'm going to keep you here a lot longer. He's just trying to get information from Steven. He's trying to say, hey, Steven, can you go get Christina's information? Does she have the idol? He knows she has the idol because Sage told him that she had the idol. So Juwan, I thought, was just acting like a kingpin for the first chunk of this episode. And I was like, man, he thinks he's in a really good spot to kind of go about this the way he's going about it. I understand trying to fish for information, but at the end there, when he's like acting like he's so high above Steven because he's on the right side of the vote, I did not like how he went about that either. I didn't like how Sage went about telling him, and I didn't like how Juwan went about relaying the information to Steven.
I didn't take much from that because I understand who Juwan is, but I think there's definitely a way where you can be kind of, scorned by that kind of comment, because it does come off a little bit braggadocious.
Especially at night after.
It's a bit too much.
Yeah, especially after one night after.
Yeah. And I think it was apparent to me that Juwan didn't feel like he did Steven dirty, which I thought was incredibly odd to me. Mm-hmm. It felt like Juwan was like, yeah, we're fine. Like, we're still good. Even though he's lying to me, I don't really have another choice. Like, I still want to work with him. And I was like, okay, I don't think you really understand what's going on. And clearly he doesn't.
I think he thinks he can burn both bridges and still go back and vote with them the next vote. I think he genuinely thinks this game is like, oh yeah, I'll lie to you on this vote and leave you in the dark. And then the next vote, oh yeah, don't worry, we'll vote out, say, Savannah, Rizzo, or Sophie. I don't know. But we'll touch back base on next tribal. But in this tribal, I'm going to leave you out of it. Like, that's only worked for
which they were never able to successfully do to anyone that was relevant in this game, by the way. Because the MC vote, that was a weird situation, obviously. And then the Alex vote, Rizzo kind of masterminded that with the perception of Alex playing both sides. So Juwan was like, okay, now I can flip-flop now that Alex is out of the picture. And that's just a ridiculous read. But we have to get to it. I mean, we don't have to spend a ton of time on it. But the reward challenge and the highlight, if you will, is Christina breaks down at the beginning of it, and she's incredibly emotional. She's talking about her mom who passed away a few years ago. Yep. And that's whatever. And we talk about it all the time. These people are allowed to have real emotions. It's a tough game. It is a sprint nowadays. It is only 26 days, but regardless, they're not eating a lot. They're in the jungle. It's very hot there. They've talked about how hot this season has been. Yeah. The conditions, it's Survivor. They're never going to be great. So I get it. People are going to be extra emotional. Does it feel like it's turned up a few notches the last few years? Sure. And that definitely hinders the viewing experience. But when the actual problem with this entire thing is not Christina. She's allowed to have her emotions and whatever. Like, we'd prefer not, but we understand it's going to happen, and that is what it is. The problem is Jeff, who we complained about, I believe, the first few weeks of this season, and he's been off the radar for us. Yep. We complained particularly with the whole Jake situation. Yep. We were complaining about just his Jeffisms throughout some of these challenges early, but he's been fine. He's been adequate, I suppose. He has such a brutal showing here where he is just going in and it's so obvious he is trying to get something out of her, get a TV moment while this person is breaking down in front of him.
Oh my God.
It's so tone deaf. It's weird at the same time because he makes a comment, not verbatim, but close enough. He's like, if your mom could hug you right now. That's just not something you say to someone who is hysterically crying about their loved one that passed away somewhat recently. Correct. It just it's so blatant how much his fingerprints are on some of these things, and we see right through it. And I think one of the worst things about modern Survivor is how involved Jeff is. And he always has been. Obviously, he's been the
100%.
host the entire life cycle of the show. But it's clear that he is judge, jury, and executioner. Like pretty much everything runs through him. This is every decision has to do with Jeff, and it's like a sport, like a TV show, a movie, whatever it is. People run out of good ideas. They just do, and even if it's their own intellectual property, you just run out of great moments. And sometimes you need to give the keys to someone else, or you need to take a step back, recharge, see what people are complaining about, and then kind of use that ammo to make the show better. And we've been pretty harsh critics of the new era, quote unquote. We've liked some moments of it, but it's not how it used to be. We can both admit that. And I think everyone is on the same page there. And there's a lot that needs to be changed. And it feels like with 50 coming up, there is a chance for 51 to be a hard reset, to go back to some sort of semblance of what this game used to be, what made this game great.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that makes me weary that will ever happen.
Yeah, by the way, I wrote the exact same thing down. I said it almost felt like Jeff was trying to pry an answer out of her that would get into the TV edit. Last week's Christina moment was, I think, much less excusable because it was, it was her trying to make the edit with giving up the reward for Juwan. This one I blame much more on Jeff. Christina is having a moment. She actually mentions her mom before the reward challenge starts, so we kind of set that up for it. And it almost felt like, to me, the producers are asking Jeff, hey, here's the two people you need to ask questions to. Steven and Christina were left out of the vote last night. So one that fell up on the vote, ask those two people what they're thinking on day 18 of Survivor right now. And Steven gives him a nonchalant, I'm not feeling good, Jeff. I'm on the bottom. Don't feel good about this. And then he goes right to Christina, and that's where she kind of melts down. Similarly to, if I had to compare it to Liz in season 46 with the Applebee's reward, although this one was obviously, not because she was hungry or anything.
Well, can I add to that? Because it was evident before he picked on Christina that she was sad. She was quivering a bit.
Yep.
If you don't ask her, I don't think you get the tears. I don't think you get the moment. Yep. It felt intentional that he saw that she was going to break. I think she was trying to hold herself together. If they drew for teams and they did a schoolyard pick again, I'm pretty sure. Once they did that, I'm sure it just passes. That emotion passes. That's just what happens sometimes. Sometimes you're in life and you have a 20-second, whatever moment, and then it just goes away. But Jeff is so obsessed with trying to get these sob stories, these tears, these drama to show how tough Survivor is, because he is so self-conscious about particularly the OG contestants, because I feel like they are the ones that care the most about what I'm about to say, because the game is 13 days shorter than it used to be. He's self-conscious about that. He brings it up all the time, how the new era is tougher because they don't have rice, whatever. It is clearly a sticking point for him. And I made the point a few weeks ago, and I'll make it again. To me, the reason why he's so obsessed with the sob stories is because he wants to reinforce how tough the game is. He said some quips at Triumphals about it, some in the challenges. He keeps bringing it up for a reason. It is incredibly deliberate, and it is so deliberate that me and you are like, okay, this is way too much. We get what you're saying. No one is saying Survivor's not hard. But people are going to poke holes through all these changes with the modern era because the product's not good. Mike, no one would care if it's 26 or 39 days if the show was good. Correct. It's just another thing to complain about because people are fed up with the product on the show.
Yeah, it felt like he was trying to beat a dead horse with because every episode now it's making the rounds. He's asking way more questions before they draw teams of where everybody's at in the game. And the second they pulled off that boat, he said, so let's catch up here. Where are we? And I already knew we were heading down some weird slope that I was like, why is this in the edit? And it's like, again, I don't know if he asks every single 8 people there about what's going on back at camp, but I know for sure the 2 people that made the edit were the 2 people left out of the vote at the last night tribal, and that's exactly who he's targeting to make the edit because they're at their lowest right now, and he knows that. He knows how the votes went down last night. He saw who voted for who, and he's deliberately going at the people who are at the bottom and at their lowest point right now. That's exactly how this game works. He wants to kind of peel back the onion and peel back the layers, and he's getting these emotional moments that make the episode. However, I don't think this one was organic. And one that I'm going to draw one to was season 34 when Suri in a very similar challenge to the one that they just ran in the reward, couldn't get past the balance beam. That was a raw, emotional moment of Sari trying to overcome something that she really did not think she could do. This one almost felt, and this is not on Christina's fault at all, because obviously she's, she lost her mother a couple years ago, like you mentioned. So she's drawing back to that. But it's Jeff who has to bring it out of her, kind of it's not as organic if we didn't have him go to her, and she just has to bring, like, she didn't bring it up to the challenge. He had to then ask people questions about where they're out of the game. And he can see, he actually, no, you made the point. It's like, he's like, you want to smile, but you can't quite smile. He drew that somehow. I don't know if he's great in psychiatry or whatever, but he's able to figure out that she's really down right now and she has a story that she wants to tell, and he almost pries it out of her. It doesn't feel as authentic, and I'm not saying that's a Christina thing. I'm not saying that Christina didn't relate to me as much as Sari did in season 34 whenever she couldn't get off the balance beam because she was this couch potato that tried out Survivor, and it was not ever done camping before. So I'm not saying that one was more emotional than the other. I'm saying the way it was portrayed was not as organic in tonight's episode. It felt like Jeff was looking for a sob story to tell and an emotional scene to give us, and he accomplished that, but it wasn't in the way that I felt 6 years ago when Sari did it.
Also, by him always bringing it up before the competitions, it's expected. So you have to think Christina was like, oh, I don't want to be picked for this. I don't want to talk about this right now.
Right.
I feel like that is also in play. And again, is anyone like, hey, I'm doing great? That's not really a reaction you get. Some people say it a bit tongue-in-cheek, and sometimes they're like, yeah, I'm doing as good as I can. Sure. But most of the time, people are like, yeah, I mean, it's not designed to be fun. We're all stressed out here, and that's that. But I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Everyone's been on an island for 18 days, all right? It's an individual game. It's no one is more, no one's doing less than the other. Outside of you could argue Blue Sophie for the first week of the show was doing much worse than everyone else. But yeah, everyone is dealing with the exact same things. It is interesting how we picked out the person who we just heard had a sob story confessional before the challenge started back at camp. That's all.
Yeah, it annoys me, and the comp was lackluster to say the least, and at least it was a little bit different. It was a water comp, but nothing really came of it. Steven, Sage, and the two Sophs are victorious, and we don't really get anything at the sanctuary. It's just kind of shooting the shit, typical stuff. Yeah. Luckily, there was no rewards, Mike, because I can't do another twist in this game. I was really worried about that once they got there, and thankfully we have enough. Coming into this episode, we had an extra vote, we had a knowledge is power, and we had two idols. We did not need to put anything else into the ether of the game here.
No, we really didn't. I was going to mention the one thing that happened on the reward challenge outside of them eating food was, Yellow Sophie is kind of in the middle. The episode does a good job of portraying that she's kind of in the middle. Sage is trying to pitch to her, hey, let's get out Savannah. That's what she pitched to her at the reward. So they're kind of laying the groundworks of Sage is still trying to get out Savannah. She's trying to pull Yellow Sophie into her side, who did vote with them last tribal, but she voted with both Savannah, Rizo, Sophie, and Jawan and Sage. So it's almost like in this 5-person voting block, which one does Yellow Sophie go with? Or I guess it was a 6-person voting block. It was the 3 that are working together with Blue Sophie, Savannah, and Rizo. And then there was also Jawan and Sage. And then there's Yellow Sophie, who voted with all 5 of them. But where is her allegiances really? She's obviously ditched Hina, which is Christina and Steven. But which one of the 5 will she go with truly? And you can see Sage is working on her. There's so many S's in this damn season. We have Savannah, Steven, Sage, 2 Sophies. There's a million S's. I can't.
We had Shannon before.
We had Shannon as well. Yeah, we had too many S's. I'm over the S's. Let's just call it what it is. But yeah. So that's what happened to the challenge. It was a very quick reward. That the sanctuary once again, which is that's the standard reward now in the low budget era. And again, Sage is pitching Savannah's name again. So that's kind of the groundworks of what was laid out. Then we get to back at camp and they're rapping. That's kind of where we're at in the first.
Yeah, and I want to blast through this. They do the 3 boys on a bench thing. It was funny for like 2 seconds, and then it wasn't. Not much happens here when they're back from the reward challenge, except for the fact that Sage is convinced she has 5 on Savannah. Yeah, with Christina, Steven, Yellow Soph, herself, and Jawan. So she's convinced they have the votes. As long as Savannah does not win immunity, Savannah will be the one going out tonight. So then we get to the immunity challenge, which is, for this version of Survivor, it was at least watchable. It was kind of fun. They have this kind of net that teeter-totters once they go through it. Yep. They have to get these
blast on
puzzle pieces, if you will, through, and then they have to balance on a balance beam, get those puzzle pieces across while balancing it, and then build a puzzle. It's fine. It's adequate. I thought it was going to be a little more complex, but it's whatever. It's a puzzle comp. As soon as I saw it was a puzzle comp, I was like, Yellow Sophie's probably going to win this. When it happens, Yellow Soph wins it fairly convincingly, in my opinion. I don't think this was ever that close. I thought Jeff was trying to suggest it was. It never really was. Steven finished first, so he had a good head start, and Savannah had a moment, but Yellow Soph absolutely kills this. So she has the immunity necklace. So now, not only in her mind is she kind of the deciding vote, she also has immunity. So Yellow Sophie in a power position. And here is another thing I wanted to bring up. Before the challenge started, Jeff makes this proposition. Here's this bag of rice. I need 3 of you to sit out.
Always does this.
This was painfully stupid. There are 8 people left. There are 2 warring sides where no one really knows what footing they're on at this point in the game. Jeff had to know no one was going to take this. What is even the point of bringing it up? I thought maybe he was going to say 3 of you need to give up your shot in the dark. I thought maybe he was going to say 3 of you can't go in the next reward challenge. I don't know what he was going to say, but I didn't think it was actually going to be 3 people sitting out of an immunity challenge at a critical juncture of the game.
No chance.
That is just another instance of Jeff being completely tone deaf.
There's 8 people left. If you don't win this immunity challenge, you're going to be eating rice and Ponderosa because you'll be out of the game. That's how important this immunity challenge was with this brewing, war. And there's, again, the 5 that voted at each other last tribal are kind of, drawing swords at each other, as you're seeing Sage is going to Savannah. So 100%, there's no one that was going to sit out of that challenge unless you were feeling super, super confident, which I'm not sure why anyone would. I mean, you can hear Christina right away. She has an immunity idol, and she's like, yeah, absolutely not. I have to win this challenge. I'm not going to think about rice. I can eat rice tomorrow. I can be voted out right now, even though I have an immunity idol, but we'll get that later. So yeah, this was a ridiculous with 8 people left. Why would 3 people ever? That's like almost half the tribe. No chance. That would have been so stupid. However, if there was 3 people that did it, because usually Jeff gets his way with these things. When he wants 3 people, usually 3 people bow in. They're like, oh, I guess I got to help the tribe. It's 8. It's rice. No, you don't. We're not merged. We're merged now. We're not a tribes anymore. You got to get yourself through the last 9 days of this. Or actually, they're on day 19 now at this point. It's a 26-day thing. You got 1 week to go. Absolutely not. We're not going to have rice to finish the game out.
This is something that could have been interesting 4 or 5 episodes ago.
Absolutely.
At this point, it just didn't make sense. I wanted to bring that up because it actually annoyed me. It's just another thing. Another example of Jeff not having his finger on the pulse.
X, there's 1 week left. There's like 4 vote outs left. And then a fire.
Yeah, what's the point? Because, and we talked about this a lot. There are 26 days. In the first, we'll call it 13 days are pretty tough. After that, with the amount of reward challenges you have, it's not that bad. And if you make it far enough in the game, you're getting rewards at some point, especially if you make the final 4. Hey, so there's no point of doing this. You have essentially a 50-50 shot of getting reward every day. So eating or not, as long as you're not Jawan and just super unlucky, you're fine. You literally are fine. You will get replenished. It'll be better than rice. And even earlier in the episode, Jawan caught fish. So perhaps that could be a thing now for them to help replenish. Jawan going out and catching some dinner. Yeah, we're so advanced in the game now. They have so many tools to get food and whatnot. It just doesn't make any sense.
No,
but
early on, rice is a necessity in this game. When you're now at day 19, and now Jawan had a moment, Rizzo had a moment too, where he was kind of tearing up. Jawan, first of all, had a reward challenge handed to him 2 days ago. So I don't want to hear any of that. Even if you don't win rewards, which Jawan has not been winning them, he had one handed to him. So last episode by Christina. So no, this is not a thing. I don't know why Jeff thought that would fly. And then Jawan was negotiating so poorly. I was just like, is this gonna actually? No, there's no way. I have to get off of it because it was so bad.
It's clear he's never negotiated for anything in his life. But you know who has?
He was a quarter of the rice bowl. What?
Yeah.
Are we serious?
You know who has negotiated something before? Yellow Soph, which I thought was very evident because I think we got another case of bad editing. Because at the beginning of this episode, I was thinking, why would Yellow Sophie not continue working with this trio? This is clearly a mutually beneficial agreement for her.
Yeah, of course.
She is with a power trio, and if you get to 4, You just have to beat the other three. She's proven that she can beat pretty much anyone besides Savannah in things, and Steven. So if she can get to the final four with this clan of people, Yellow Sophie's the most liked out of all of them. She has a good of chance as anyone to win the final immunity and then win fire. So why wouldn't you just want a golden ticket to the final four and take your chances there? So as soon as we get back, what happens? Yellow Sophie flips, which I don't even know if that was a flip because I think it was just how it was the entire time.
Yeah.
And it was just a little editing quirk that they were trying to kind of sew in. Will she or won't she? I thought the entire time she was with that dominant trio. So Yellow Sophie finally, to us, the audience and the camera, admits, yeah, I would rather be with Savannah than against her. I'd rather have her as a competition shield and kind of this larger than life figure that's kind of protecting me. I am behind her. No one's going to go after me first if she's still in the game. I thought that was a perfect read on her part. Yeah, well, and she even gives them information that I think Christina has the idol. Sage hinted to me that Christina has the idol.
Was that the edit too? I don't know how that made. Did Sage tell her that at the reward? I might have missed that.
No, Sage told her when they got back from one of the challenges, which I think was immunity. I don't remember, but Sage did tell her. Yes.
Oh, so she told her before she told Juwan.
No, afterwards.
After the immunity challenge today, then.
Yes, hold on. It should be in my notes.
Because she told Juwan at the top of the episode. So I'm like, okay, it's the first person she's telling. I had no clue that she had told Sage, unless that she had told Yellow Sophie, unless she told her right at the after the challenge.
Yeah, she tells her, and then Soph relays that information
right to Savannah.
And obviously Savannah tells Rizzo and Blue Soph.
Blue Sophie knows, yeah, of course.
And I was like, surely Blue Soph uses her knowledge power now. Surely this is the episode.
100%.
And it immediately flips again because the vote's on Steven. But now with Christina's idol in the picture, because they don't know Sophie has this knowledge power, if they knew that, they would just say, Sophie, you want to steal the idol? And then we'll just figure it out from there. Right, that's not a point of contention because they don't know. So that situation never rises. What happens instead is Savannah is like, why don't we just get these people we're not sure about now? Because I'm sick of dealing with them. At least we know where Steven and Christina stand. We can pick them off and Sage's whatever. What if we just go after Sage or Juwan? It seems like the entire time they're leading Juwan, and then there's a late push for Sage, and they're going back and forth, Sage or Juwan, Sage or Juwan. Before we get to Tribal, who did you think they perceived as the bigger threat between Sage and Juwan?
I thought they perceived Juwan as the bigger threat. I figured, and I said this last episode, I believe that if Savannah's a smart player, which I think she is, I don't think she cares that much about the beef with Sage. I think that she'll be like, okay, I can get Sage out. She's not going to challenges. I thought the Juwan thing, and it's not because I thought he had any win equity. I just thought, and we teased this actually 3 episodes ago, where he kind of opens his mouth a little too much at Tribal. You don't really know where he stands. At least with Sage, you kind of know it's like, okay, there's a personal beef there. When Juwan was doing Savannah wrong, it was like a playful, whoops, I put bugs in your bag. Sorry. It wasn't like a actively I don't like you kind of thing. But at this time, Juwan is lying right to her face. So I think she wanted Juwan out.
Well, you know what's interesting about all that? And I agree with you, but it's almost contradictory of what happened in a brief back and forth. And I don't know if you caught this. Yellow Sophie made an offhanded comment to Savannah, which was basically like this. You don't realize how dangerous Sage is. You don't realize how much she talks behind her back, which I thought was interesting because it didn't seem like Savannah expanded on it. Obviously, the show is heavily edited, so we don't know if that was a further point of contention. But it felt like to me in that moment, Yellow Sophie was trying to throw Savannah a bone and maybe get the vote back on Sage, even though throughout their entire conversation, Yellow Sophie was kind of like, yeah, I think I do want Juwan out. I think I just fear him more. But
she said she said she didn't want to sit next to him at Tribal, which I thought was interesting. She said in the confessional, she's like, I'm not really want to sit next to that guy.
Yeah, she basically insinuated he's too nice of a guy. He's too beloved by the jury members, which I think is half true. I don't think Alex really cares for him too much after Juwan just voted him out. Right. And I think Nate likes 5 other people before he likes Juwan, even though they did have a little bit of a bond. So I don't think that was the best read Yellow Sophie had in this episode where she was fantastic. But
I do agree that Juwan was the person, and I said this last episode, I don't think Sage really scares you. I think Sage is, Jawan was her number one, but I think Jawan is socially integrated better with people. He was with Steven in the Bottoms Up Alliance. He was made connections on the other side. Sage felt like she had Jawan as her number one, and then Steven was giving her information, but there wasn't any like direct, like Jawan.
Rizzo seemingly trusted him the whole time for whatever reason. It seemed like he always gave him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, but the reason why, if I'm Yellow Sophie, I would have wanted Jawan out. Jawan and Rizzo had seemed to kind of rekindle whatever relationship they had. So they seemed to get back on good terms again. There was no, signs of Savannah and Sage working out their beef. So you can get out someone who's close to Rizzo and pull Rizzo closer back to the group. And again, they didn't touch on this at all in the episode, but we did last week, of the male-female discrepancy of if the women are smart enough to get out another man, there's now 5-2 in terms of women against men. And they ended up getting out a man. I don't know if that was really the reasoning. That didn't make the edit. But
I don't think it was. I think it was as simple as Jawan just... He is better at challenges, I guess. I don't think either of them are good.
He's more socially integrated. Was I think the big thing. I think they fear,
that as well. That as well.
Yeah, they fear that people on the beach like Jawan more than Sage, which I don't think is a terrible read.
Right, and I think again he does have a better chance of winning something. I think that does matter.
Yeah,
and he's a likable guy. I think. There was also a perception that not only is he socially integrated, but he can almost miss you to get back on his side because he is so nice. Like, it's clear he is a genuine human being, and people like that about him.
Correct. No, I agree. So I didn't have any issues with them, but I did want to circle back a little bit because I thought there was an interesting confessional that kind of went under the rug a little bit. Rizzo, before that they find out that Jawan and Sage have flipped again, Rizzo fully believes they have 5 majority on Steven. Yeah. They're going to vote out Steven. He's going to keep his idol again. They're riding high. He is fully back with Uli. He fully trusts Jawan and Sage. I was like, really? Does he actually fully buy them? Because I thought eventually he was just going to be like, oh, I need to flip on them now. I got them front numbers. Now I can flip on them and work with the 4. But he kind of disregards Yellow Sophie. He's like, I have, Sage and Jawan. They flipped onto my 3 with Blue Soph and Savannah. So I have my 5. And I'm like, you have 6, right? Because Yellow Sophie voted with you guys last time. Like, I mean, we pointed it out. It's like Yellow Sophie did flip on her old Hina tribe. So it's like you technically have a 6-2 advantage. But he kept mentioning the majority 5. But then it's Yellow Sophie who gives the information to Savannah that kind of bails out what would have been, at the time, Savannah and Rizzo had blinders on, and they actually might have been fooled for a second by Jawan and Sage that they were actually going to vote out Steven, and there was going to be a 6-strong group. It's the Yellow Sophie that kind of gives the information out, and Savannah's like, oh, they are flipping on us again. And once Rizzo realizes they're flipping on us again, I think that he's okay with voting out. I think he's like, okay, Sage is dangerous. She's a real, because he's the one who throws out Sage's name. I think he still kind of wants to give Jawan a chance until we find out later that he's like, okay, you flipped too many times. But Jawan and Sage are painted as the flip floppers of the episode for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't tell how serious that Rizzo analysis was. Sometimes you hear things in the confessionals and you're like, yeah, maybe this was spruced up a little bit. Maybe this was taken out of context to an extent. Maybe he was saying this as kind of a perception thing, not actually his belief thing. So take that for what you want. But man, does Rizzo bounce back at this tribal, because this is...
Well, before we get to tribal, though, I have one more thing. We don't So, Christina consults with Steven. She's like, should I use the idol on you? I don't know. It's risky, whatever. They have that moment before tribal. Then Savannah goes right up to Christina and blatantly asks her...
Oh, yes. No, thank you for bringing this up. This was hilarious.
This was hilarious. So she goes right up to Christina. She's like, okay, I want to know who you're voting for. Are we good? Like, what are you doing? And Christina's like, wait a second. I need a minute. I need a minute. Hang on a second. I don't like this. I don't like the way you're coming at me right now. I don't like the way that we're playing this game right now. So that was weird. And then Savannah goes to Jawan. So she's almost fact checking all the information. She's like, Jawan, she's basically lying right to his face. Essentially, she's almost like fact checking. She's like, yeah, you're good to vote out Steven still. You're good. You're not gonna nothing fishy going on. And he's like, yeah, oh yeah, everything's good here. So she's almost going to every single person. She now knows the information that Yellow Sophie told her, and she's going to other people and seeing, okay, are they going to lie right in my face? Are they not going to be direct with me in Christina's case? And then Jawan's just dancing on the questions. So she, at this point, she says in her confessional, she's 100% using her extra vote, and she wants to put it on the flip-floppers. And she, of course, we can assume this is Sage and Jawan. And then, of course, after that, so this is a whole Savannah, 5-minute spiel. She goes right to Christina, tells her that asks her who she's voting for. Then she goes to Jawan, and she's lying right to his face and seeing if he's going to give her any information. He doesn't. Then she goes to Yellow Sophie, and this is when she tells Yellow Sophie about her extra vote. So now Yellow Sophie knows, okay, I switched to the right team. They don't have just 4 people. They have 5 votes now. They have them 3 plus me, which is 4, and they have another vote. That's 5 votes. So in a tribe of 8, 5 wins, no matter how you slice it. So Yellow Sophie's feeling like, okay, we can make the decision here. I have immunity. I have power. I'm in a power position. You have a power position because you have an extra vote. Let's dictate who goes home. And that's when we pan into tribal. It feels like this is Yellow Sophie and Savannah's narration of who they want to go home will go home.
Yeah, just going back to Christina, what are you doing? Why are you here if you can't take a little smidgen of heat? You can't dish it and not take it. That was embarrassing. The fact she literally stepped away and was like, I don't like this. I don't like that you're coming at me. Give me a break. This is a Survivor. I mean,
no, by the way,
part of the job description.
Yeah, I think if Savannah came at Cirie like that, Cirie would use that to try and get Savannah out. I don't know how she would do it, but Cirie would somehow. This was not a great Christina episode. This was not a
this moment in particular, she looked out of her depth, really bad.
It looked like she was like, "Oh crap, this is Survivor. I'm like overwhelmed." It was a very overwhelming episode. Fair or not, for Christina, I think she had.
This is about as bad of an episode you can have without going home. But let's get to that here at Tribal, because I do want to spend some considerable time on this Tribal.
Yeah.
So we don't really get much out of the initial wave of confessionals here at Tribal, where they're basically confessionals because Jeff calls on an individual person and he's like, how are you feeling tonight? And you're just trying to get a good monologue for the show. And I get it. Correct. We don't really get much out of that. But there is a consensus, and Rizzo is really fanning the flames, and this felt like the beginning of performance, because he keeps going on and on, like, it might be me tonight, guys. I don't know. Someone's turning. I don't know who it could be. It might be someone on me. I'm a little worried. Who knows? So he's playing into it about as much as you possibly can, and then it's time to vote. And this is where this episode kicks it up about 15 notches, because Christina plays her idol on Steven. I don't know why she did this. She was convinced that the initial information that she was given of all the votes being on Steven was correct. She didn't think that this other side then has pulled numerous rabbits out of their hats.
They've been going back and
would simply put every single vote on Steven. I didn't get this whatsoever. But regardless, she plays it on Steven. Then Rizzo says, Jeff, can I get up here? And Jeff's like, yeah, sure, let's go. And Rizzo goes on this long speech about, loyalty and doing what you have to survive in this game. So therefore, he's playing it on Savannah, which gets a big reaction. Oh my God. Goes to sit down. And then Jeff says, this isn't an immunity idol. And everyone is like, what? What is going on? And Juwan is like, play your real one, bro. And Rizzo is just smiling ear to ear. And then we get the votes. And sure enough, in a 5-3-1 split, because Savannah does use her extra vote, she didn't necessarily need to. It did feel like kind of a middle finger extra vote, more so than one out of utility.
Well, no, it was a big vote because she did not know that Christina would go rogue and vote for Rizzo. So it could have been 4-4 if she didn't use her extra vote.
It could have. It definitely could have. I just think
another Christina moment. She went, I'm going to go rogue vote on Rizzo in case he uses the idol on Savannah.
Well, that's usually how this goes. I think they assumed that perhaps more realistically, they would also go 3-1. They would throw a rogue vote on maybe Christina, and then they'd revote and we'd go from there. That was my perception. But again, whatever you want to make of it, 5-3-1, Savannah wins again. It's another Savannah Rizzo masterclass. Juwan is blindsided. Juwan goes home. It is clear the jury is stunned by this. MC, Nate, and Alex, they look like kids in a candy store. They're eating up every second of it. They're eating up the vote. They're eating up the Rizzo theatrics. So let's unwind here. Let's start here. I want to start with the idol fake out. I think this was intentional, more so than a kind of mockery of Survivor, which it definitely could have been too. I think he was trying to gauge the reaction of him playing the idol on Savannah.
Correct.
And because there wasn't as much of a reaction from, let's say, Yellow Soph, she's like, yeah, whatever, like a good play. And because the others are almost expecting it, he's like, we must be fine then. Surely we must be fine. I thought it was a genius move. We've seen it before. We haven't seen it necessarily in this fashion. We saw it 2 seasons ago, notably with Operation Italy, where they kind of do the fake out thing, like, hey, we have an idol. We don't know who we're gonna play on, if we're gonna play it at all. It turns out they didn't have an idol whatsoever. So we don't know if they know that Rizzo's idol is still exists. If they think that,
That's
it
the
didn't
fake
seem
one.
like Jawan was fooled, but the
No.
others could be. Who knows what they think?
Jawan and the original Uli saw him find the real one. They all saw it. So he's
Yes.
not fooled. But the other people might be fooled. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the other people didn't. So, or maybe, I don't know. I really don't know. But what did you make of this whole thing?
I thought the whole thing was a performance. I thought the whole thing was a portrayal to the jury of how we're going to go about this game. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I originally I thought when he played it on Savannah, I said, wow, because that whole speech was very Russell coded when he played it on Parvati and Heroes vs. Villains. I was like, okay, this is interesting. He doesn't have to play it on Savannah. They have the votes. Like, they really don't have to play the idol. So when he got up, I was very surprised. I was like, is he going to play it on himself? There's no reason to use it now, unless he just wants to get rid of it and become less of a target. I was like, maybe that's what he's doing. Then when he says, I'm going to play it for Savannah, I'm like, wow. So he's just going to cancel out all the votes that she's going to get, even though she's not going to go home. I mean, she's not going to go home. They have 5. She has an extra vote. She's not going to go home. So I was like, okay, I guess he's just going to get rid of it. And maybe it's an act of loyalty to Savannah. It's like, hey, I'm riding with you, rocking with you. But then it's
And I thought maybe for a half second, the plan was, Savannah, you don't even need the extra vote. I'm going to play the idol for you. We're going to get 4. We know they're on you. It's okay. This will be easy. You can save the extra vote. I thought for a half second, maybe that was the play.
Yeah, but I mean, evidently it wasn't, and it's a fake idol. So now I'm thinking, wait a second, is he just going to play the real one now? Like, what's happening here? I was very confused. But I do think that whole thing was an act to see Jawan's reaction, more specifically the jury's reaction as to this whole thing that's going down. Christina plays an idol. It's very much real for Steven. Rizzo knows Steven's not. We're not even voting for Steven, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, even if Jawan and Sage voted Steven's way, we have the votes. We're getting Jawan out of here. It felt like a very they know Jawan's going home and they're taunting him on the way out. I thought it was hilarious. Overall a really cool moment for Rizzo, but nothing really happened. I mean, nothing really happened. He played a fake idol. He still has the real one. Obviously, no votes went his way tonight again, or I guess 2 went his way last time. But yeah, so the whole thing was, I thought, a performance from his part, and then while they're reading the votes, I thought Savannah's facial expressions of, oh, you voted for me, Jawan? Really? You flipped again? You flipped on me again? No way. Why would you do that? And it was almost like a in your face. I know I have 5 votes going your way here. Like, I voted for you twice, so I know that you're going to go home.
That also felt intentional, a way to say, hey, we're running this game. You think you're doing something. We are running this game.
The last 2 tribals, and now you're getting played again by flipping on us at the Nate vote. And this is kind of like, we used you for 2 tribals, and now you're out of here. We're not going to let you do it again, even though they did it again on this episode. So, of course, Jawan and Sage, after flipping 3 tribals ago on their OG Uli tribe, getting Nate out, they then mingle for 2 votes on MC and Alex, and then they flip it on again. But this time, Savannah and Rizzo they do not get outsmarted the second time. They're able to, fish out that they're going to get played again. Obviously, Yellow Sophie's information helped that. But this time, they turn on Jawan and Sage finally, and they are able to win that kind of Uli battle of 2v2 in Rizzo and Savannah versus Jawan and Sage. 2
quick points. One, the reason why I said I don't think Savannah necessarily needed it, even though you were right, if they split it both ways, she did need it for the 5-4. Yeah. But here's my problem with this, and I think you'll agree here. If you're scared that if you're so scared that Rizzo could play the idol on Savannah, and we talked about this, I believe, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
What do? I told you what to do. You vote out Blue Sophie instead, just so you ensure that one of them goes home.
Correct.
That's what you do. Or on the other side, they took what I said and used it to their advantage, because rather than put all the votes on Steven or Christina or have to split votes, because essentially that's what you would have to do if you're scared of an idol. Mm-hmm. What you do is you vote out the third party, and you make that other person so terrified that you're going to vote them out that you then flush their idol, but you still ensure that a number is voted out on their side. They didn't do it with Blue Sophie. That shows consequential here, because they have enough ammo to not have to split votes, go the third party route, if you will, and get out someone while also flushing Christina's idol. I do want to say something real fast, though. The second point I had.
Yeah.
Blue Sophie not using her knowledge is power. I understand she didn't, in her words, want to look like a clown. I thought this was the perfect way to do it, because if Christina doesn't have it, then it's probably still out there. You can probably make the conclusion it is, because if Steven had it, you probably would have heard about it some form or fashion. Jawan probably doesn't have it because he can't keep his mouth shut. and Sage isn't even on the table for any of this.
No,
So why not just take the shot, play your knowledge as power at Christina, take her idol, and then you're even more in a dominant position. Then you can really play with your food. Didn't really understand that logic.
I don't really know what she's waiting to use it for. Obviously, this is setting up for what you teased about 5 episodes ago. Is she going to take it from Rizzo? Like, is she just going to take the thing from Rizzo,
Right.
like Final 5, Final 6? The problem is you can only use an idol up to Final 5. We are now at 7 people left. There's only 3 more tribals of actual votes. Final 4 is just a fire making challenge. So at Final 5 is the last time you can save yourself with an idol. It certainly appears like if you're ever going to use that damn knowledge as power, it would have been on tonight's episode with Christina playing an idol before the votes are read, or before they go to vote. You could have asked Christina for the idol right there. You could have done.
Well, you know why it's so much worse as well. So you have 7 people left. If she was going into next tribal with an idol, she would have an idol. Rizzo would have an idol. I have a feeling one of Savannah or Yellow Sophie will probably win immunity or be in pretty good position. There's a chance 3 of the 4 of your people in your alliance would have been safe.
With 7 people left.
Like, so even if someone flipped, which I guess obviously Yellow Sophie would be the favorite to, even though I don't think she would, you'd still have plenty of cover. And if you did have the idol, Yellow Sophie just simply wouldn't flip, because why would she? It's way too dangerous. There's way too much going on that side, especially if Savannah were able to win an immunity necklace. There's no real reason for Yellow Sophie to want to flip. Then you would just have it down to 6, and you'd go from there, so on and so forth.
Well, here's the thing, because we've now kind of gotten on her twice now for not using this. This is all setting up for, if she doesn't use it on Rizzo's idol, this is a
By the way, Mike, the MC one was worse because she 100% knew MC had it. 100%.
Yeah, okay, but I'm gonna excuse her for both of those if she does what I'm about to say. So she didn't use it on the MC idol. That was null and void. MC used it on herself. She got no votes against her, whatever. Christina used it on Steven. He got no votes against her, whatever. If she uses it on Rizzo, who of course everyone knows has an idol, if she does it at the right time, and then they are able to, in the exact same tribal, get Rizzo's idol and plant it into her bag, and then in the same episode vote Rizzo out, that would be the biggest move of the season. So if she can do that, that would be, I got out the biggest threat in the game, possibly other than Savannah. I got the person with the public idol, and now I'm. That
doesn't help her now, though, and that's the thing that we brought up a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but
I do want to touch on this real fast, because we did bring this up, and I think it's more important now than ever. She kind of needs Rizzo's security right now. She doesn't really have any connections left.
Right now,
so,
but you see the preview.
She could do this at Final 5 and Final 5 only. So I'd be curious.
No, she can do it at Final 6. She can do it at Final 6. She has Sophie.
She has until Final 5, right?
No, she has until Final 5 for someone to play an idol. Yes.
Yes, but I think that's the only logical time for her to do this. I think if she did it at 6, there's too much worry that move is so big that then she would be voted out next. I think she has to do it at Final 5 in order to guarantee that the move lands, and then she can go forward with either Yellow Sophie or Savannah.
Not if you're intending to get Rizzo out. If you're intending to get Rizzo out, you have to do it at Final 6. You can't risk him winning immunity at Final 5, and then at Tribal be like, oh yeah, can I have your idol? I know you have the idol necklace around your neck.
I hear what you're saying. If you wait for 1 week, the week could pass and you couldn't. I hear you.
There's no vote at Final 4, so you can miss your chance. If you don't do it at 6, there's a chance where Rizzo wins the Final 5 immunity, and then you can only hope that he loses fire. That's the only chance you have of getting him out of the game. Right. So if you want to make a move and get his idol, 6 is the time to do it. Because now she has a Sophie squared alliance. I don't know if you saw the preview. It's pretty clear that Yellow Sophie is much more in cahoots with the other Sophie than she is with Rizzo. So there is a world where Yellow Sophie would turn on the Rizzo Savannah pairing and kind of make her own pairing, if you will. We teased that last episode with Sophie and Sophie. So it could be a Final 4 of Rizzo and Savannah, and then the other two, Sophie and Sophie. But at Final 6, if there is a Christina straggler along, and you can just use Christina for a vote, and then if you have maybe a Sage at Final 6, if she's just kind of lurking around for whatever reason.
Yeah, if Christina's your goat, Sage is just kind of off to the side. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
If you're Blue Sophie, you can go Sophie squared and pull in the 2 goats that are Christina and Sage and vote out Rizzo, who has an idol at 6. So she can take Rizzo's idol at 6 and then vote him out of the process.
My only pushback is I think it's still too risky. If she made that move, it's such a dominant move. You still have a vote afterwards. She could easily be the target. And she really doesn't have a great shot at winning immunity. She hasn't really been close in any of these. That's my pushback.
Yeah, but can we agree then that she probably, because this is the last resort now. It's the risky. It's the risky route.
Well, I think we're just saying the same thing here, where she should have just played it, and then we wouldn't have to deal with this at this point.
Exactly right.
She had so many. She had a perfect opportunity to play it, and then, which never happens in this show, she had a second perfect opportunity to play it. She had 2 perfect opportunities and didn't. So now it's risky at every angle if she does it now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm only excusing this second one if she pulls off the very risky one of getting Rizzo's idol and then voting him out in the process. That's what it's going to take for this to be like,
it would take a lot, but if it lands,
because people still don't know she has it is the thing. Rizzo has an idol that's public. She has a knowledge of power that is not public at all. It's the only secret that's kept in this entire game. So I think the only way for her to be like, wow, she pulled it off and she waited that long is if she uses it against Rizzo himself. Which,
by the way, the only secretive thing in this entire game, because Christina's idol wasn't secret, public. Rizzo's idol wasn't secret,
the extra vote
Alex's idol wasn't secret, the extra vote, which was secret for a little while, became not a secret.
Nope.
So this is the only secret advantage that we've had in this entire game.
That's why it's powerful. Yeah.
And if she can land it, I think that could get some brownie points with the jury, because they would acknowledge that is something. But
if you miss your chance, this is a big missed opportunity. Like if you didn't get it tonight, I thought tonight was the night to do it. If you're going to do it,
Mike, I'm going to say right now, I think it costs her game. I'm just making the prediction. I don't think
Rizzo 100%.
I don't think she has the wherewithal or the ammo to make that move in Rizzo. I don't think it makes total sense for her game. I think it's a little bit too risky, and I don't think there's going to be a great opportunity for her to finally make that move.
Well, real quick, if Rizzo and Blue Sophie are sitting in the final 3 together, and Blue Sophie spills out to the jury, I had a knowledge of power this entire time that none of you guys knew about. Wouldn't the jury just be like, well, why don't you take Rizzo's idol and vote him out at final 5 or final 6? Wouldn't they expect her to cut him before final 3?
Yes.
So that she can't argue against this guy. Like, she could have taken him out. Like, against, of course, she still can. She has 2 more or 3 more, I guess, tribals to do it. As there's only 3 more tribals left of voting before final 4, so she still can do it. But if she's able to hold
on, there is no like double elimination or anything. We only have the last, I believe, 4 episodes, and that's the season.
Correct. So she has. That's what I'm saying. I don't think she can sit next to Rizzo in final 3. She has to get him out with that. That would be the big jury move of the season. Be like, I'm doing this in front of the jury. None of you knew it because I voted you all out on the jury. No one here on this current island knew it either because I'm using it against Rizzo, who I'm in an alliance with, and he didn't know it. So unless she can pull that off, I think tonight was a big missed opportunity, and it could have possibly cost her the game if she's not able to play this endgame very well.
It's that time. We do it every week, but we're going to change it up this week. We always do the better and worse position. Let's change it up. We know who's in a better and worse position. You can't really be in a better position than the Power 4, and you can't be really in a worse position than the minority 3 after just wasting an idol as well. The golden opportunity to maybe change this game, completely wasted. You look like a fool because none of the votes even landed on Steven. It's just a disaster.
So, okay, real quick, do you think that Savannah and that Power 4 even intended for Christina to use her idol? Was that just like, oh, that happened too? We flushed her idol. Like, we didn't have any votes go to Steven.
I think they thought she would play it. Yes,
because they didn't clue her in on the vote. So that means that they're still in the dark. So they still think that the votes are going to go Steven's way. So they're able to pull that off too in also getting out their target.
You want to know why I think she played it? That interaction with Savannah, where Savannah kind of punked her out. I think that really scared her. I think there was a part of her that thought she was going home.
But do you think that was intentional by Savannah to spook her into playing an idol? Or did that just kind of happen because Christina's kind of not in her element?
I think it happened naturally, but I think it was a consequence of that. Yes.
Sure. Okay.
I think Christina was worried about her position and then realized they know that she has an idol, so she's going to big brain it because she thinks they're playing reverse psychology. And because Christina has the idol, they'll vote Steven. So Christina is going to reverse psychologize them and play the idol on Steven. And she just grossly outthought the entire situation. But let's do this. I want you to rank the best position of the Power 4. And if you want to throw someone in the minority 3 and be my guest, but I don't think you will, rank 1 through 4, both Sophies, Rizzo, and Savannah in their position and their ability to win the game right now with what we've seen. No foresight into the future. Just right now, as we're going into the next episode, 1 through 4. Obviously, 1 being the best, 4 being the worst. Start with 4.
Start with 4.
Yeah.
This might not seem fair because she had such a great episode, but I do think it's still Yellow Sophie. Just because of the ammo the other 3 have. The other 3 have ammo. She doesn't. She has good social standing right now with Blue Sophie and with Savannah, but I don't think she's in the best position of the four. I think she's still in the worst position of the four. She just got there, kind of. She's like the new kid at the school.
Mm-hmm.
She's good. It feels like she has to win a lot of challenges and then also pull the right move at the right time to win the game. So I'm going to say she's 4. 3, I think it's Blue Sophie until proven otherwise, unfortunately.
Yep.
Like right now, she's holding on to this maybe massive moment that could change her game. But right now, as we currently stand, I have no idea how the end game's going to play out. I know who wins, but I don't know if Blue Sophie's going to use this knowledge is power to her benefit at all. Right now, we've had 6 episodes go by of her not using this thing. So it's very possible that she just wasted it and takes her to the end with her. But I'm going to say her for now because as of right now, there has not been any big moment from her to the jury of, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's how I'm playing the game. I'm going to say 2 is Rizzo because of what we mentioned last week. His standing in the 4 is not as good socially as Savannah's is in the 4. He was more close with Juwan and Sage, objectively speaking. He said it himself, than Yellow Sophie, who they were able to pull in last tribal. But that was more Savannah and Sophie pulling in the other Sophie. That was not... Rizzo was working on Juwan and Sage, and he successfully got them to play a puppet role last week. But now that Juwan's gone and he's kind of scorned Sage again, it is the core 4, and the people that are closest to the power position there is Savannah. Savannah's the 2 Sophies are kind of more loyal to Savannah than they are to Rizzo. So that's why I would go with Rizzo 2 and Savannah 1, because I think in the social standing of the game, I think she's better positioned than Rizzo, and I think a public idol at this point is kind of a hindrance to Rizzo's game. I'm going to draw a comparison to Xander in season 41. The idol became so public, people just let him hang on to it, and he made the final tribal council, but he got like 1 vote, I believe, because people were like, you didn't do anything with the idol. It was just kind of out there, and you played the game well, and I would have voted for Xander, but the way that the jury reacted to it, they were like, it's a public idol. It's not as impressive as a hidden immunity idol, and you were able to skate and make a play with it in this case, because in the new era, everything's public. You know what I'm saying? So it's not as... I think what he's doing is impressive, but I'm saying the way they might view it, at this point, the idol is so public. At this point, do you even... like? I don't know what you do with the idol at this point, because it's like it's so out there now, and it's just like, whatever, we'll deal with him later, but he just kind of has it, and it's kind of known. It's like, whatever. It's one of those things. So I think Savannah's in the best social standing of the 4, and she doesn't have a huge idol target on her back, which I think is kind of, in a way, hindering the way Rizzo can play.
I have Blue Sophie at 4. I think even though her knowledge is power is secretive,
pretty big.
I think she missed the boat with using it, at least effectively, in a way that really could have benefited her long-term in her standing in the game. And I think she still has this lost puppy moniker in almost this idea that she is a strong player, but she's kind of an afterthought of the trio socially. So I think she's 4. 3 is Yellow Sophie, and I think she has an argument to be 2. I think she really does, because her ability to win the necklace,
sure, of course,
and her ability to kind of get close to both Savannah and Blue Sophie. I think they like her on a personal level. I think there was a fear of her because she is a badass and is winning these immunities. So I think naturally there's a rivalry there. But it's one of those things we talk about all the time in sports. There is that person you hate to play against, but when they're on your team, they're your favorite person in the entire world. You can't stop rooting for them.
Like Marcus Smart. Well,
yeah, great example. Draymond, Brad Marchand. There's a ton of great examples of people like that. I think Yellow Sophie's the epitome of that. I think when she's on your side, you're like, hell yeah, let's go. I think she has respect from both sides, which I think is really important. So I think she's closer to 2 than people give her credit for, but I'll put her at 3 for now. We'll see if that changes. Sure. Rizzo's 2 just because of how open he has been orchestrating things. I think that matters. But the reason he's 2 and not 1, and I think I had him at 1 heading into this episode, it was the offhanded comment that I brought up for a reason. And I brought it up because it matters. Perception can be reality, especially in shows like this. The perception is Savannah is the bigger threat. Sage wants her out. Juwan was in lockstep. Christina and Steven were like, the game is wide open if Savannah is out, which insinuates that she has far more control in their mind, even though I don't even necessarily think that's true, than Rizzo does. I think Savannah has the most power. I don't think it is by such a ridiculous margin that the game magically opens up dramatically without her in it. I think they would still have a power vacuum if they were able to find that 4th. Now, maybe they were just saying that because it would be 4-3 them. There would be no real way to rebound with the 2 Sophs and Rizzo. Sure, maybe that's what they meant. But I do think that Savannah, in a way, is getting everything she wants. Even though Rizzo was dictating the votes, I think
More
Savannah was
public.
able to
Yeah.
kind of, plant the seed, still get what she wanted at the end of the day. Getting Joanna out was big for her in
Very
that
much.
regard. And also, she kept her power secret enough where it did make a big difference. It got a pop from the jury, which I think is big.
Yeah.
It seems like people are just really respecting Savannah being so direct, whereas Rizzo's a showman, but there's still something where they're like, oh, he's still working for Savannah more so than with her.
Right.
I think that narrative is definitely going to change after this episode. I think they're going to be seen more as a equal standing duo or trio or quartet, however you want to frame it, really. But he still has to make up a little bit more ground, in my opinion, before I was able to put him above Savannah. And I didn't even mention I trust Savannah way more in a challenge as well, so I think that does matter.
I think that your perception is reality point is real because the people on the island have made it known that they view Savannah as the bigger threat. So dating back to the first merge episode, which was when they got Nate out, the initial hit was Savannah. They wanted Savannah out. They used Nate as a backup, as a safe plan because, well, what if Rizzo used it on Savannah? They were so petrified of Rizzo using it on Savannah that they went with Nate. They were never actually targeting Rizzo. They were targeting Savannah the whole time. They couldn't get her out. The next two immunities, she wins. So now, for the first time since the merge episode, she is vulnerable to be voted out. And who are they going to go after on that side of the house? Savannah. So they view her as the big threat because in every time that she's been vulnerable every time she hasn't had the necklace, I should say, she is either getting votes. In this tribal, she got 3 votes, or in the merge one, she was going to get votes before they went safe route with Nate, who, as I already told everyone on the merge episode, I disagree with that backup plan. They should just went for Savannah right there. But nonetheless, I totally agree with that. I think that if Rizzo gets to Final 3 with Savannah can use that kind of, here's what I did at Final 8. I used my extra vote to get a 5th vote that no matter what the other side did, 5 votes on a tribe of 8 gets you the majority anyway. So they could have 4 votes. It doesn't matter. Like it could be 4-4, but guess what? I have a 5th vote because I kept that secret enough and I used it at the right time. I won 2 immunities. The one time I lost immunity, I used my extra vote. So I was able to kind of control every single vote, whether I had immunity or whether I was in power with an extra vote. So she could use that at the end game. I think Rizzo right now.
Well, the Rizzo stands can say they were so petrified of the idol again that even if Savannah didn't have an extra vote, we still would have gotten what we wanted because of this public idol. So it's clear that they are a 1-2, but Savannah is just inching them out right now.
But Savannah's more in the shadows. Rizzo's more in your face, public at tribal. The performance of the tribal was really good by Rizzo. But I do think that of the people who are voted out right now, and then obviously Juwan is also now voted out, and the people left, I do believe that they all, and these are the people going to be voting in the Final 3, so they're going to all vote as a jury, assuming Rizzo and Savannah both get there, which we don't know. But if they do, the people that they voted out are going to be the ones deciding the game. And right now, their opinions on the island would suggest that Savannah's the big threat, that she cannot get farther in this game. She cannot.
I want to make this point too, Mike, because you haven't brought it up yet, but I think it has to do with their personality a little bit too. Rizzo is kind of this goofy guy, lanky, funny, almost a caricature of himself. Well, what I perceive is himself back at home. Sure. Savannah is cutthroat, ice queen, just cunning, in your face, just brutal, and she gets what she wants. That is almost more attractive from a voting standpoint than Rizzo, kind of the goofy guy, whereas Savannah, it looks a little bit more deliberate. It looks a little more grasped, whereas Rizzo maybe trying to play it up to, to try to shape his own narrative. I don't know how much that plays a factor, but I guarantee you that's at least a little bit something. I think Savannah's demeanor definitely bodes in her favor with this cast. I think other casts, maybe they respect Rizzo more for going over the top and basically being a living Survivor legend. Just we'll call it what it is. Like he's been unbelievable this season. Yeah. But Savannah's deliberate nature, I think, with this older skewed cast, particularly the jury and who's left, that really is in her favor.
No, it is. And again, they're the ones that are pushing her name to be voted out. So that kind of tells you that how they view her. It's very similar to Heroes versus Villains when everyone in the pre-merge said, we got to get Parvati out. We got to get Parvati out. They were so petrified of her getting a final 3 because of what she did in Micronesia. But I do agree that the way that this cast perceives that duo, it feels like from their lens, they're more scared of the Ice Queen, cutthroat, cunning Savannah, who also has won 2 challenges now, than they are with Rizzo and his very, very public idol, that's not so hidden, obviously. But I do think that Rizzo is pulling strings and may not be getting enough credit because he is right there in lockstep with Savannah. I'm just thinking the perception of reality point is good because
do you think it changes if he wins even one comp? Do you think if he wins the next comp, it changes?
Maybe, but I think that he has to do something with the idol. I don't think if he just holds on to it, it's that important. Because again, I already saw 41, which is a regrettable season, but I already saw a guy get to the end with the idol and be like, "Hey, I held on to it. That's impressive, right?" And the jury was like, "Not really." It depends on the cast, but I think this cast maybe. I mean, they really didn't take the idol that seriously. I mean, right at this point in the season, their actions tell you that they are not taking it seriously. Their words are saying we're so petrified of the idol, but they're really not. Every single episode goes by, they're really not worrying about it. They're now looking at, okay, we got to get Steven out, we got to get Savannah out. Rizzo has an idol, and they're just kind of seemingly forgot about it because it's like not that big of a deal in their own actions. Because they keep saying in the confessionals we're so worried about flushing the idol. The last 2 episodes, they really weren't that worried about it because they did such a bad move putting 6 votes on Alex. That was like, okay, well, you're really clearly not that worried about flushing the idol if you're going to throw 6 votes on Alex. So they can say whatever they want, but really they're not that worried about Rizzo's idol with the way they're playing. That shows you that they're not.
Real quick, we saw the preview for next episode. There was a little bit in there. I believe it was Sophie talking to Sage, Blue Sophie, and she was saying about breaking up Rizzo and Savannah. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you believe that was genuine?
3, 4.
I was going to say 2.
Okay.
I think it was blatantly a ploy, presumably to make Sage feel comfortable to then vote around.
It could have been to make Sage feel comfortable, but I do believe that her conversations with the other Sophie are more important because there also was a preview of her and Yellow Sophie seemingly
they do like this handshake and kiss the pinky or something.
Yeah, we don't know what it is, but it seemingly is like a final 2. Like we're locking it. That's usually what people do. I don't know. I'm not like a lip reader or anything, but usually when people do that, it's like, hey, we're locking in something final. Like we're a final 2 here. And I do believe that the way Rizzo and Savannah, their performance at Tribal, maybe sparked some intrigue at Blue Sophie's. Like, okay, I'm really a third wheel here. Like they're a powerful 2. Like Rizzo
doesn't matter if you're the third wheel to them.
It doesn't. But if you're Blue Sophie, you'd like to have another one on your. You'd like to have Sophie Square.
Yes.
Like, can I have my own?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, can I have my own? Especially with how good Yellow Sophie is at challenges. Maybe she can be like, this other. Like you could have another powerful 2.
Everyone wants a number 1, and if you feel like your number 1 is someone else's number 1, then you get a little concerned. Even though basically right now the goal is to make the final 4. At the final 4, you win 1 challenge, you're in the final seats, and then you get to choose at least one person you're going.
You'd love to do it with a person like Yellow Sophie. It's not like she went up to Christina and is like, "Hey, you want to go to the Amber?" Like, no, she went up to Yellow Sophie.
Because Yellow Sophie has a great chance of winning that final 4 immunity necklace. She would take Sophie, and then at that point, you don't really burn the bridge with Rizzo or Savannah, and then you look even better because you basically dragged them there. So.
Yeah, Rizzo and Savannah make fire. You and the 2 Sophies make the final 3. And it's like, oh, that's a perfect avenue for her. So I understand why she wants to lock something down with Yellow Sophie. That makes sense. Yeah. The Sage interaction, probably not very genuine, but I do believe in the back of her head, if she says, me and Sophie are good, I'm locking something in with Sophie, and Rizzo and Savannah are there, if there is a final 5, final 6, could they get the 2 straggling goats, whoever's left off? I don't know.
Yeah.
Could they make a move? There is something to be made. There's foreshadowing there.
Little early, because Blue Sophie is not a goat, but she has not shown any ability in any of these challenges.
No, but I'm saying they've laid the foundation in the previews to if Blue Sophie, who still has a big advantage. I know she has a big advantage if she's able to win any challenge, or if maybe if Yellow Sophie wins another challenge, and then she has the advantage to take an idol. She could have an idol in her pocket, and she could have Yellow Sophie by her side with a necklace around her neck too. So they're laying the groundwork in the previews for possibly there could be a Sophie squared versus Rizzo and Savannah showdown, possibly not. I mean, not a final 7, but I'm saying,
I'm not buying it.
But I think that it's possibly going to come in the future. I don't think final 7, but I think in final 5, final 6, when there's a chance to make a move with less numbers, I think they could possibly do it. I think
there's always the thought of trying to make that move at final 5 or 6. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it is always on the table. I think you need to wait until there's 5 or 6 left, just so that person on the outside that feels hopeless, you can drag them in. They have nothing to lose. They'll vote for you just to preserve themselves in the game. So I'm not buying it yet. Maybe when it's 5, specifically 5, we'll get something.
But we'll see. I think 6. You think 5? We'll see who's right now.
Any final thoughts, whether it's on this episode? Actually, what about going forward? Because I'm really curious on how this ends. We've talked about it a few times. We're circling the bushes here. Any final thoughts about the game going forward?
Sage, what does her scorned Earth edit look like? Because it looked like in the preview, Sage is like, you do me wrong, you're gonna get the, you know what? Like she's kind of pissed. It's like almost like Savannah when they voted Nate out, who was perceivingly as one of her number ones. It was like Savannah's pissed. She's out for blood. Sage appears in the preview edit. Looks like, okay, I lost Jawan, my number one. Now where do I go from here? I'm out for blood. It feels like that's the edit they're going to give Sage. Which again, is anyone really worried about Sage? Not really. But I'm just saying, looking forward, is Sage still a player in this game, or is she a GOAT? Is she Christina, basically, who now is completely powerless? She has no idol.
Where do you lean?
Christina? I'm in that she's a GOAT and she's Christina, but
I think she's the ultra GOAT. I think she's the goatiest of GOATs.
But X, do you agree that the edit is not portraying her to be Christina? The edit's giving her a massive influence in the game, even though she.
You want to know why? You want to know why?
I don't know why.
Because I don't think there is this foresight that we've complained about this entire season. And I hate bringing it up because I bring it up every week, but I have to say it. We know who's on 50.
Yeah, we
do. Seemingly, there's a large portion of people who maybe threw that information out of their mind and are watching this like they have no idea how this is going to at least sort of shake out. You might not know exactly who wins, but we know who's going to make it pretty far, right?
Yeah, we can guess, yeah.
I think Sage is getting that edit because she's the only consistent opposition to that happening. I think it wouldn't work with Christina because she's not strong enough. She's not vindictive enough. Jawan was kind of playing both sides for the most part. Obviously, Sage was as well, but, not to the same extent.
No.
And then Steven, again, kind of too nice of a guy, not really as with the vitriol that Sage has. I think Sage is getting this edit because she, for a half second, as we both talked about, looked like she could have made a move against that side. She's the only one that really was using both information to her advantage. Again, it was just a fleeting second, but it still counts for something. So Sage is getting the benefit of the doubt that, she's a schemer because of that one moment. Because of that one moment where they voted out Nate, which didn't even really matter that much. Because they voted out Nate, that she's this schemer, that she kind of sort of orchestrated that because she helped lead the flip with Jawan.
But she didn't want
I don't think any of it's real. I think it's an editing trick because we all know how this season is going. We know at least 4 of the final 5, in my opinion. Once we get there, then we'll see. But you need to keep intrigue somehow, and I think Sage is the beneficiary of that. Because, again, they ended this after the season ends. So they know Jawan is getting voted out here. Why spend energy and resources on this Jawan arc when Sage is lasting longer than Jawan?
By the way, I'm glad you brought that up because that just reminded me. I put it in my notes. I didn't think we were going to talk about it, but the way that they have edited Yellow Sophie this season, I did not know she existed until episode 9, episode 8. What are we on, episode 10 right now? I didn't know she existed until episode 6 or 7. It almost feels like one of those characters you see in these 5-season, miniseries, whatever it is. Like these 5-season thing, they kind of just drop somebody in season 3. It's like, oh yeah, this person's been here the whole time. You just haven't really known. They've been a side character, but they're actually a pretty important character in the show.
It's like the receptionist who just has a few lines, and then all of a sudden, oh my god, the receptionist got a promotion. What?
They have a huge role in the show. Yeah, they have a huge role in the show. But the way I hate about the editing is there was no character development. It's like we don't really know much about Yellow Sophie because we didn't hear about her for the first 5 episodes. We don't know who she is.
Yeah, that's exactly what I texted you when we were talking about this earlier. I wish we'd known her before because I think she's a great character. Even right now, barring a total botching, I would love to see her back for something. I think she's good television. I think, and it annoys me to no end, if they knew she was this vital the entire time, what's the point of keeping her as a secret? I think, Mike, I figured it out halfway through this. But again, I sniffed it out a while ago, so for me it didn't matter, but perhaps to others this was a big thing. I think there was a notion that she was supposed to be in the shadows, right? And then at the merge, she's supposed to kind of emerge, come out. She's a combi. She's winning these comps, and worst case scenario, she's finishing second, right? And she is all of a sudden kind of the pivotal vote in the middle, even though, as I mentioned already, she wasn't really in the middle. It got to a point where she didn't really care about her old tribe because they didn't really look out for her at any point. So she is much more loyal to someone like Savannah. If you can't beat them, join them. And even if you can beat them, you might as well, stick with them in order to kind of have your threat level diminished. So I think it was intentional the way they edited her. I just hate how they did it. I think I understand the method. It was just stupid. And it's
By the way,
another issue that I have with the show.
What you said right there at the beginning is exactly what I said in our draft. I said, I think Yellow Sophie could be one that doesn't do anything the first half of the season, but then turns it on at the merge and wins some challenges, and she's a social butterfly, whatever. I did not know the way that they just didn't. I thought that case was done. Okay, I'm wrong because they didn't edit her at all in the first 5 episodes. I know I thought she was going to be in the shadows a little bit, but they didn't give us any kind of character development of, okay, she's a strong competitor. She wants to play with other strong competitors. Like now we can see clearly that she wants to play with Savannah. She's losing to her by a little bit in these challenges. Then she actually beat her in a puzzle today. So she's beating her in some things, losing to her in other things. But it's clear there's some sort of like good banter rivalry there, and she wants to be a part of this. She's like, I'm gonna, she's pushing me, I'm pushing her. Let's actually team up instead of being at this at odds here, like a Genevieve or Rachel. Like she's actually working with the biggest threat to her game possibly, which I actually like. I admire that. But I don't know why we didn't see any of this in the first 5 or 6 episodes. We didn't hear. The only thing we saw with Yellow Sophie was after the second tribe swap where she was kind of, bitching about being the decoy vote to Christina. And I was like, that's all we've gotten so far through 5 episodes. She doesn't like fruit and she doesn't like being the decoy vote. I was like, what is this edit? Is she just like not interesting? But it appears like she actually kind of is interesting. They just missed it the whole first half of the season. I don't know. It's very weird editing part that they kind of just hit her, and then they kind of hit her from the audience, and then until final 9, final 10, I was like, okay, I guess now we're getting some Yellow Sophie edits, but I don't know. Very strange.
Yeah, I think I sniffed out, like I said, what happened, but it's a shame because she really is great, and I
drafted her.
Appreciate her.
I thought she had some potential. I didn't think that this is going to be the way that it panned out, but here we are.
Yeah, real quick draft update. You're down to 2, but it's the 2 I'd probably want in a redraft, which is my girl Yellow Sophie and Savannah. I'm in a little bit better shape. I have Blue Sophie and Rizzo, and then I have the stragglers as well. And Steven and Christina. Tonight was a tough blow for me that it was Jawan and not Sage. I would have had a 5-2 majority in the final 7. It would have been a stranglehold. You get a little lucky here. Sage is a UDFA, so
thank God. I thought that she had to be on my team because of the way it panned out. Like you got the last pick, and I'd have to just get you picked Shannon at 116. I'm holding on to 111, which is Yellow Sophie, and then my 103, which is Savannah. But I figured I might have to get stuck with Sage on my team, which, by the way, Sage's still going strong. So my mom still has a team of 1, and that's pretty much what it is right now. She has been claimed, and I don't know how much longer she'll be here, but she feels like she's one of those final 6 goats that just kind of gets.
I think it is kind of funny. Of our first 6 picks, there are 3 left. I swung and missed with what I thought Matt could be, but I did nail Blue Sophie and Rizzo, so that was good.
Yeah,
and then you had Nate, who I think really got screwed, to be honest. I think it was just an unfortunate situation. And then Savannah, who's been great. And then you had kind of the Alex and Jake sandwich, if you will.
I was betting on one of them.
Yeah, and Jake got Metavaxed, and Alex, I think Jake was gonna be the one who had life in this game, and he got Metavaxed, and Alex was caught playing in the middle.
Yeah, and then you had Jason, who kind of got screwed in the swap, and then I had MC.
Jason, the number 1 screwed person in this entire season.
Number 2 would have been MC, who got screwed because they first of all, they merged, and then they unmerged and went back to tribal, and then she got voted out. I was like, okay, so she made it to the merge, and then she got voted out in a tribal, in a tribe format type of situation where half the tribe didn't get to see her name got written down. But those 2, I went MC 110, you went Jason 108. Those people kind of got shafted. Jawan, I kept teasing he's going to be out here pretty soon. The way he's playing is too reckless, too many burned bridges. He eventually is sniped, but good on you for picking him 109 because I didn't think he'd blast this far. I think you even said he could be winner potential or he could go home very, very early. His teams won all the tribals up until, the merge, basically. So he was able to survive that. But I just think his tribals were overall sloppy to me. The way he spoke in tribals was a little bit like you're giving up a lot of information. The way he spoke today in tribal, Savannah gave him a lot of reactions as to like, who are you talking about? Who's gonna get blindsided tonight? Who's witty enough to get blindsided? Is that me you're talking about? So they were reading right through it, but I thought Jawan eventually just opened his mouth too many times, and he got caught. But
I think the values were 3 picks in a row here. It was 111. You took Yellow Sophie, which looks like a masterstroke because she's been great. She's probably, outside of Rizzo, the character, is my favorite game player of the season. Those 2 and Savannah are just fantastic. I love all 3 of them. I wish we got all 3 of them on 50, but regardless. So you took her 111. 112, 113, I went Steven and Christina. So they're still strong. Yeah, Steven going 112. One of the steals of this draft here.
Christina pick, I'm going to give you credit for that one because I didn't want her, but this was such an obvious, she's going to make it far in this game. So just based on points.
I think I mentioned that too. I was like, I don't really think she has upside. She compared
Probably
herself
is.
to Sari, which we didn't like, but
No,
I
but
thought she had obvious GOAT potential, and I wanted the points with her, so
of course.
naturally, I
And if
picked
she's a
her
social
up.
butterfly, then she can maybe, be nice enough to people and play a motherly role and get far in the game, which she did. So I'm surprised that now looking back, and I'm like, wow, she went 113. Who do we pick over her again? Now I'm realizing I picked MC, who was a challenge beast, and I picked Yellow Sophie. I was just going for like big physical threats that might get to the merge and just maybe make the merge and not get voted out early, because you don't want to vote out the strong people first. Christina, one of the weaker people, but never got to tribal until merge. So there you go.
Yeah, and then Sage undrafted, but I think if we did it again, I think she'd still be undrafted. Maybe she'd go over Annie,
Oh yeah.
just
Okay.
because of
Annie was a
that
bad player.
tribe landscape.
Yeah, she's a
But
bad player. Yeah.
Sage was also a bad player who I think's been dragged along because she is a GOAT, and I think she's been perceived as a GOAT the entire time. And again, we don't get every single conversation. I have to imagine that the perception of Sage is like, yeah, she's a number, but she's not
If
really.
Annie and Sage were swapped at the beginning of the show, would Sage get the exact same? Would she get the exact same fate as Annie? I think she would. I think she would be the second one picked off.
I think Annie would have gone out maybe around now. Maybe it's Annie instead of Juwan, just because Annie would probably be so annoying that they would just vote her out.
She'd be out of control.
But yeah, I think they have pretty much the same fate. I think Blue was just dealt a really tough hand. So the bottom of Blue, including Jeremiah, even like I think he could have had legs if he was able to stay around.
I thought he could be like I thought he could be the Christina. You drafted Christina 113. I was kind of going with like who's maybe the next version of Christina. Is Jeremiah a social butterfly? Maybe he could kind of ditch and dodge these. It got to a point where he's in a tribe of 3 after the medevac from Jake, and they had 2 people out in that episode, which was Jake and Jeremiah, the 2 Canadians. But it is what it is. But we're still looking strong. Overall, our top picks are doing good. Well, I guess Sophie was not a top pick of mine, but we got 103 and 111. You have 101 and 105, and obviously 12 and 13. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. It'll be a fun fight to the finish. For real this time, any final thoughts?
Again, I teased it, but I do think, I want to see what this Sage episode looks like, but I'm more interested in the Sophie Squared alliance. I don't know if they locked in something serious, then we might have a 2 versus 2. It's not to the level of a Kyle Camilla versus Joe and Eva, not to go back to Joe again. But or no more 10 minutes on Joe. But I do think if we do have a lockstep Sophie Squared alliance, which would be pretty cool. I thought there was too many Sophies here. I wanted one of them to be gone by now, but at this point, I'm kind of digging the 2 Sophies. I'm like, okay.
I like the 2 Sophies a lot.
Blue and yellow Sophie, they're still here. They're gonna just team up. There's not the island's not too big for 2 Sophies. It's not small enough for 2. Whatever the saying is, there's not enough for 2 of us here. There actually is. There's plenty of room for 2 Sophies here, and they're both still here with 7 people left. It's gonna be a fight to the finish. I'm interested to see how it goes, but it pretty much we're having a clear. We know what's gonna happen here. We know who's in the power positions. How do the minority 3 now with no Christina Idol? How do they bounce back? How does any of them integrate into the power 4?
So tomorrow is Thanksgiving, so we will be off tomorrow for the holidays. I hope everyone has a good holiday. We will be back soon. We're probably still doing a mailbag. If not, we'll make it up for it with a sports-centric episode of some sort. We'll be back next Wednesday with another Survivor episode. I will say I'm a little worried that there's like 4 more episodes left. I feel like we could wrap this up with maybe 2.5. It feels like we're kind of delaying the inevitable here. But regardless, we'll be here anyway for that. And shout out to our All Her Fault review. 10 more streams and downloads today. We're in the 60s now for streams and downloads on Spotify for that, which is just unbelievable. Thank you guys so much for eating that up. The YouTube views have done pretty well on that, but on Spotify, it's really caught fire. So,
by the way, real quick, sometimes there's like a second wind to those things too, because All Her Fault, we watch it at the same time, but there could be like a 2 weeks from now, a month from now, where people once again get on the All Her Watch train. It's like another new audience of people are watching it. And you never know. That's kind of how shows work. It's like, I'm going to binge it now and after the holidays or something like that. So it very well could just be one of those things where if you still want to watch the show, our review's still up there. Go check it out. It's one of those things where
on YouTube and Spotify. So go check that out. And I wanted to bring this up as well. Our last Survivor episode, our highest rated Survivor episode ever on Spotify. And it's in our top 3 or 4 on YouTube as well. So the Guru's viewership is doing really well. Yeah. So be sure to look out for, again, sports episode coming down the pipeline. More Survivor reviews. We might do another show review since obviously our last one did so well, so we might have to mix that in. Yeah. I teased the Mike. We might have to do some movie stuff. Mike's like, movies? What are movies? So we have that on the docket. I've almost done with the script for a YouTube video. Our Big Brother Second Chances, not one, not three, second chances. Finally done with the script there, and we'll start recording that very shortly. So much over on Guru Island. We've been approached by like 6 podcast agencies. Some of them are like spam, some of them are legit. So I'm trying to sort through that. But yeah, we're clearly on an upward trajectory here. So it's been a lot of fun. And again, we'll be back next week at our regular time, right after the episode is done airing. But as for Mike, I am Xavier. Have a happy holidays, and we will see you next time.